The last couple seasons in the Pac-12 Conference, we've continued to focus in on the North Division, partly because of what Oregon's been able to accomplish, Stanford and Washington, and yet all of a sudden, USC and Utah have been in that conversation. Mike Am and Yogi Roth with you as you take a closer look at this South Division. All right, explain this to me, because Utah, we felt like, had the fewest questions coming into the season, and they were the preseason media pick. You go down to Southern California, they haven't won down there since the early 1900s, and you felt like this was going to be the year, especially when Keaton Slovis on the first series goes out, and you're looking at a third-string quarterback in Matt Fink. Turns out we know nothing about college football, because SC not only is victorious in that game, but I think there's a real case for them. You could argue maybe they're the team to beat in the league because of their talent.
Well, especially because of their offense. You know, it's kind of interesting when you look at like the Pac-12 North. They really lead with defense for the most part in terms of the defensive powerhouse that are there. In the South, we thought that way with Utah would be the team because of their defense. And, of course, the experience with Zach Moss, Tyler Huntley and company on the offensive side. But you look at what SC did, to your point. They're putting up major points, and they're good enough defensively to hold up when they need to. And I think they'll get better as the year goes on. But that game, Mike, it was crazy because if you take out the touchdowns, if you just watch the game back, take out all the touchdowns, those plays, you're like, Utah's rolling. They dominate the line of scrimmage.
Sure.
They're moving the ball. They're running the football. But they couldn't stop the big plays. And you would have thought coming into the year, Julian Blackman, Jalen Johnson, the secondary, this is where they're elite, making plays on the ball.
Sure.
And they didn't do it. So you got to say SC, you give them credit because those guys, when they needed to, played backyard football, plucked the ball, scored touchdowns.
Correct me if I'm wrong. You had SC winning that game, didn't you?
No.
Oh, you did?
I had Utah rolling.
Oh, I thought we had a different conversation where you said something like, hey, the third, fourth, fifth wide receiver, SC, are they going to be better than that?
Yeah.
That you go down the list in terms of the secondary at Utah. I guess maybe I usually do listen to everything that you say. Just want to be abundantly clear. Maybe I just misunderstood. But in my mind, I just wonder how many teams, if they were able to do that against Utah, we felt like they were elite defensively. Like, to me, the entire conference has to be put on notice.
Yeah, that's the point. You know, can the third DB of your team stop Amon-Ra St. Brown? Right? And they couldn't. And I didn't think it would be enough for SC to win. I thought they'd move the ball. But to your point, when Matt Fink went in the ball game, you're like, it's a wrap. Utah's just going to roll in this ball game. But they don't. And now SC goes to UW. Can Amon-Ra St. Brown, how does he do against the third DB at UW? I cannot wait to see this one shake out, because there is a world where it's advantage USC. Because these offensive players, Mike, I think those three receivers are better than any three receivers in the country.
Collectively as a unit. Yeah, no, I mean, it makes sense. I think fans at Washington State are saying, hey, our group might be deeper. Laviska Shenault, you can make an argument, maybe the best wide receiver in the entire country. I know the numbers don't always speak to that. He broke out against Air Force. But big picture point, you're exactly right. I think there's some other fans right now that might be watching, and they're like, why aren't you talking about our team in the South? I'd say the best of the rest. Who do we have here?
I think I'd go with Colorado. You know?
Ooh, over ASU right now? Despite, I know I get the head-to-head deal.
I would.
Okay.
I mean, I think a young quarterback, you're going to see Jaden Daniels go through experience for the first time. And he balled last weekend, but they've got to play more cohesive as an entire unit. I was surprised with what the defense didn't do in that ball game. So I say look at Colorado. And again, in the South, it's kind of all offense. Steven Montez, fifth-year senior quarterback. Laviska Shenault, hopefully he can come back with what I think we could presume to be concussion-like symptoms at least, why he left that ball game. Tony Brown, Katie Nixon, those guys elevated their game. Two running backs, Fontenot, Jaron Mangum. The offensive line protected well. The defense got after it at times enough to stay and remain in the ball game. So I look at that, and if you score points in this league, and for SC to move the ball against Utah, I don't think we would be shocked if Utah moved the ball against Utah with the playmakers they have. So I think it's hard. I think that Colorado might be that version of the team that can impact the Pac-12 South the most, because I think when they get hot and Montez doesn't turn it over, they can knock off any of the teams that they play in the South. Real
quick here, because of the epic nature of the UCLA win, turning point for this program? A year and change in for Chip Kelly?
If they win this weekend, it is. You know, they got an opportunity to go to Arizona and then string together a bunch of wins. You look at their schedule: Oregon State at home, then they get a bye, they go to Stanford, then Arizona State. I mean, there's a world where you wouldn't be shocked if they won 4 in a row. And now what are we talking about? We're talking about Chip Kelly, the savior. He's turned the program around. Think about how that flipped in literally a few days.
Can you imagine just knowing it's Arizona, Oregon State, what we just saw against Washington State? You like offense? Watch these next couple weeks with UCLA. It's been really impressive. The conversation with regard to the South and the league in general, Yogi and I got you covered every Tuesday night, 6 p.m. Pacific time, inside Pac-12 football. Don't miss it on Pac-12 Network.